All right, y'all. Regular season is over. We could talk about it, but it's over. So we can wrap up the regular season. So we can thoughts about the regular season. We'll throw that out there. But what's important, we are now in the playoffs. We got a game at 4:30 on Sunday. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about everything involving that. We're gonna hit you with some playoff talk as well. This year we're gonna talk the playoffs with you. We're gonna let y'all know it's Eagles elite and Eagles is top of the line. That's the main thing. But in order to win a championship, we know what's going on with everybody. So we might as well, let y'all know our thoughts, what's gonna be going on. Giants game, I told y'all last week I did end up watching it, but I don't really have much to say about it because it was our backups playing. Um, we'll pick our elite performance, weakest link, blah blah blah, blue blue blue. But for the most part, we'll be focusing on playoffs, what we can expect from the team. I know we got some people that are returning from injury that we're gonna need to, talk about a little bit too, especially one specific person. There's a lot of people that didn't play last week that's gonna be playing, but that's another story as well. But before we go any further, my man Wyatt up in the building with me. What up, Wyatt?
What's going on, cool? What's going on, Eagles Nation? It's playoff time. Regular season's behind us. And, we're sort of, you're excited to get that record, going towards the end of the season here. Everybody was, all angry and everything about the rushing record and not putting Saquon out there, but it's
I'm
time to
still
get
angry.
rejuvenated. I understand, but I mean, there's still people going to be angry about it, but it's playoff time. It's 0-0. There's only a certain amount of teams. It's time to make a run here for another Super Bowl. And this time we going to win. Hopefully, maybe possibly get back against some Chiefs here. Hopefully have a little rematch, come out on top, stop that three-peat, hopefully. But we're a long ways away from that still, but man, it's exciting just to have playoff football back.
I dig it. I dig it. So, man, we're gonna go ahead and get hype real quick. We're gonna get a little extra hype. Diva is not with us tonight, but shout out to Diva. We're gonna hold it down because that's what we do. Let's go.
The kick is away, and the kick is it's good, and the Eagles win.
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
All right, y'all. We back in the building. So y'all know where we start. We're gonna start where we normally start. We're gonna do some things maybe a little different. We're gonna start where we start. Philly's in the building. She says, "What's going on, Eagles family? What up, Philly?
What's up, Philly?
First comment. She tried to keep her title most weeks.
Yeah.
She get beat out every once in a while, but she pretty consistent with it. So Wyatt, I know there's a couple of things in the updates, man. What you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, first off, with the win over the New York Giants this past week, it marked the 300th win of Chairman and CEO Jeffrey Lurie's ownership of the Philadelphia Eagles. So big congrats to Jeffrey Lurie. He's had significant amount of success as the owner of Philadelphia Eagles. Had a couple Super Bowl appearances, of course, the Super Bowl win, and hopefully a lot more wins to come here in the future.
I dig it. I dig it. I dig it. Yeah, that's a big thing, man. Getting a 300th win is important because it shows your expectations of greatness, right? A lot of them are regular season wins, real talk, but you pay a lot of regular season games. So, big ups to him for getting, that taken care of. We like that.
Yeah, and we do have some roster moves, but we'll get to there. But there was a couple of awards that were handed out by PFF. They do awards right after the regular season every year. They named the All-Pro team, and there was a couple Eagles on there. Of course, Saquon Barkley, you have to have him on the All-Pro. But they also listed Jalen Carter as an All-Pro as well, as far as PFF. And they also awarded Zach Bond the Breakout Player of the Year award as well.
I love it, man. As many Eagles players as we can. We need in prominent positions, getting rewards, getting awards, stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, that's what we need. That shows that we're developing guys, and we got guys coming in. We got guys bought into what the Philadelphia Eagles are trying to do. So I'm for it. I'm with it. I love it. Shout out to Jalen Carter, Zach Bond. I remember, is that the same one Myalata made too?
Yeah, Myalata was in there as well.
Yeah,
And I mean, they did have the Pro Bowl announcement and everything. And I mean, somehow Myalata wasn't in on the Pro Bowl, but I mean, that does count as far as fan voting and everything. It's kind of a popularity contest and stuff. But damn near most of the whole offensive line, except for Myalata, made the Pro Bowl, which is crazy. Especially Cam Jurgens, his first year starting, taking over for Jason Kelsey, and he's a Pro Bowler already. I mean, says some things.
Yeah, Myalata was definitely a snub. Personally, I feel
100%.
like AJ Brown was a snub as well.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To put up over 1,000 yards and miss as many games as he did, and then on top of that, to switch to an offense that wasn't pass heavy, and he still managed to do that. You got to give him props. It's only been 1 year in his career that he hasn't had over 1,000 yards, and that was 898 his last year in Tennessee. So shout out to AJ. He's done a lot for us. Shout out to Devontae. Like, it's a lot of great players on this team. I understand everybody can't make the Pro Bowl and, all NFL and everything and all pro. And the reason for those things are because you focus just from time to time. There's times where everything's about the run. There's times where everything's about the pass. It all depends on what our motivation is. This year's been all about the run. So it is what it is. That's going to knock down some of the stats, but we're winning. So
yeah, I mean, like the full list of Pro Bowlers was Saquon, of course, Jalen Carter, Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, and Zach Bond. So we got a Pro Bowl linebacker as well. We haven't had one of those in quite some time in Philadelphia.
I don't even remember the last time we had one of those.
Yeah,
but nobody from the secondary. It's crazy.
Yeah. Crazy, like Quinyon. Like maybe I can understand Cooper because he didn't start for a while, but Quinyon been out there locking him down all season.
I just hope everybody takes it as a slight. Everybody who didn't make the Pro Bowl, I hope you take it as a slight and go out there and ball out in the playoffs. So remember, nobody likes us and we don't care. So when we don't get the stuff, we can't be mad because they don't like us.
Exactly. Just like I think Zach Bond would probably be in a lot more like defensive player of the year recognition if he was like a bigger name. Like not a lot of people know who Zach Bond is. So I mean, I think if his name was a little bit bigger, he would be in those type of considerations.
Yes, sir. And Old Man Mob is checking us out in the building. What's going on, old man?
What's going on, old man?
We appreciate you tapping in as usual. I know we getting a like and a share from you, sir. And I know we already got the sub, so we definitely appreciate that. All right, what we got next?
Yeah, the next thing I have is just some roster moves. We end up signing a defensive a DB, Lewis Sign or Kine. I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name.
I think it's Sign.
Sign, Lewis Sign.
Yeah.
Once again, another Georgia Bulldog we bring into the Philadelphia Eagles. He was drafted by the Bills. Had some time with the Vikings for a little while. He was on their practice squad, and we ended up picking him up and signing him to the active roster. And we also opened the practice window for defensive tackle Byron Young. So, and as everybody probably knows already, the big news today was Jalen Hurts is back at practice. So he was limited as of today, but that's as expected because it's his full practice. They're expecting him to be a full participant tomorrow. And then of course, going to be starting the playoff game this weekend. And as everybody probably knows, Dallas Goedert played a little bit in the Giants game. So he's a full participant as well. He's back. So it's looking like the full roster is going to be healthy going into the playoffs, which is exactly what we need at this point in the season and everything.
So you mean to tell me why that somehow miraculously Mr. Hurts is now good to go?
Yes, sir.
Couldn't pass
They're saying he apparently participated in the walkthrough on Saturday before the game as well. So they out here playing games for a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Exactly. A lot of people, I don't know what's up with Hurts. We should start Tanner McKee. I'm gonna tell all y'all now.
Oh my gosh!
If we're trying to win games, bro, I have nothing but appreciation for Tanner McKee. But if we're trying to win games, We need Hurts out there. We need our top dogs everywhere out there. That's
100%.
what
Yeah.
that is. You know,
I'm all
in the
down for
building.
making. What's going on, Unc? I'm all down for making McKee the backup, but we can't be having him starting if Hurts is healthy.
Can't do that. You can't do that. Unc says, I'm back with my yak. Let's go, Unc. I know Unc in the building, ready with that yak. Yacked up and yacked out. You know what I'm saying?
Ready.
Yes, sir. All right, man. So, any other news? Any thoughts on any of the news? I know, like the Jalen Hurts thing for me, you didn't have to do all this, Nick. And I don't like this cutesy wootsy. We gotta do extra stuff. You don't want him to play, you just let him go ahead and get through the concussion protocol, right? And then just sit him. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
We know you
it seems
worry
like they
about
always try to do this type of thing with injuries. And I don't like he wasn't going to be playing against the Giants anyway. So what was the whole point of doing that? Like I understand maybe wanting to maybe give the Packers like a slight little like thinking like, oh, maybe we aren't going to see Jalen. Maybe we got to prepare for one of these other two QBs, but that's only going to last for maybe like half a day to a day.
the
Like
Packers
they're going to
would
be
not.
able to like preparing for Hurts that whole rest of the week. So
Yeah, the
it's not going to
Packers
really
are not
do
gonna,
much.
come on, man. The Packers are not gonna be like Jalen Hurts is not gonna play in
Yeah,
a win or lose game.
exactly.
Come on, man.
Especially
Y'all
after
need to do
2
better.
weeks of concussion protocol when he
You know
hasn't
what I'm
had a
saying?
previous concussion. If you had a previous concussion, yeah, I can understand. We've seen what happened with Tua and everything. But come on, man. You shouldn't be out 2 weeks.
He was in the final step during the game. And it took this long to get out the final step. I don't know about you, Wyatt, but to me, it sounds fishy.
Yeah.
Sounds fishy to me.
Yeah, I just feel like it's like them thinking they're smarter than everybody else, but everybody, I mean, they had the fans fooled, the Philly fans, because everybody was so worried about Hurts after, dealing with the Saquon Barkley record. They turned their whole attention to pretty much like, what's going on with Hurts? Is he not going to be available? Is Tanner McKee going to be the backup? Should he be the starter or whatever? And it's like, why are we even talking about this right now? Like Hurts isn't out for the season or anything. Like he was concussed 2 weeks ago. He's going to be back. Why are we even talking about this at this point in time? It is crazy that you even have like pundits on ESPN and everything talking about like what's going to happen if Hurts can't go. Is Hurts going to even be available? And it's like you more than anybody, these people should know that he's going to be ready to go. Like not, I guess they need talking points, but like a lot of these players that are commentators or pundits, they should know better than this.
Completely agree with you, sir. Completely agree with you. Completely agree. All right, so we're gonna move along here. So we had a game. So when we have games, we do have, a weakest link, and then we have our elite performance of the game. So Wyatt, who's your weakest link for the game?
The New York Football Giants are the weakest link of this game. Because you guys trotted some of your starters. I mean, I guess there were some guys sitting from what I understand, but most of your starters are out there and you still got beat by our backup somehow, some way.
My weakest link of the game is Nick Sirianni, because you did not let Saquon Barkley get the record. You did not let that man have an opportunity, and that makes you the weakest link because that's garbage. And we better win the Super Bowl, Nick, or I got a lot of things to say to you, because this was a once in a career, once in a lifetime type thing. Nobody ever does this more than once in their career. And you basically just took that man's chance away. So for me, you're going to be the weakest link for the Philadelphia Eagles, period. But especially for this game because of your decision that you co-made with other people. I know everybody don't agree. I know why don't agree with me, but
It's fair. I understand.
He's trash for that. You always will be trash, Nick. No matter what happens, you trash for taking that record away from Saquon. You are garbage, dumpster, fire, trash. Always. I will not forgive you. And neither will Saquon. He looked salty on that bench. He was over on the side. He looked salty. He like his so salty his blood pressure went up. Yeah, AJ Brown over there looking like he was asleep.
That dude was sleeping on the bench.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Because what do you have? That's a whole nother conversation. I am attempting the remainder of the playoffs, the remainder of this football season. I am attempting to be a more mellow version of Cool McCain here on the show. I don't know how well I will do at it, but I'm gonna do my best. to be a calmer.
Hey, as long as we win it, that should help at least a little
That should
bit.
help. But you know how I get sometimes. But that should help. Warm, strong adventure says, I do hate that Barkley didn't get a chance. I just wanted to get a quarter, man. I wasn't stressing like the whole game. I feel like he could have gotten a quarter. That Giants team had laid down before the game started too, so I feel like a quarter. But against the Giants too, there's a lot to it. But
Yeah, and I think it was kind of messed up for the Philly organization to like list him as a participant in practice and then making his game status as doubtful, or like not even that he was out, just like it seemed like there was like a glimmer of hope that he was going to be in there. And it's like, why would you even do that if you weren't going to play him at all?
It's a disrespectful cows. I believe they're disrespectful cows. That's what I believe. But Super Bowl or bust. Just remember that, Super Bowl or bust. And if we don't get there for some reason, I hope we get there and win. Super Bowl win or bust. If we don't get there, Nick, I got a lot for you. I got a lot for you. But we're going to hold it right now and see what the outcome is. But just know, that's some stuff for you. Just know. And you stink, man. You stink. All right, lead performance of the game. Who you got, Wyatt?
I mean, I'm gonna go with Tanner McKee. I mean, 27-41, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. Kept the ball safe. Made a lot of good throws out there. He's protecting the ball. He did exactly what he needed to do going into this game. And I mean, can't have much better performance than that.
Fair enough. I'm gonna go with Jahan Dotson. Finally got a chance to get targets. I believe he was it 90? I don't remember exact yardage. I don't have the stats pulled up.
94 yards.
Yeah,
7 receptions, 94 yards.
Yeah, 7 for 94 for a guy who probably had 7 all season. So shout out to him for going out there and doing what a wide receiver does. I do feel like he needs to be a part of the playoff game plan, because I do feel like people are going to try to take other weapons away. And maybe because we know how cutesy Nick can get, maybe the plan has been all along, don't really use him in the regular season, and then we're going to use him in the playoffs. Because that's the kind of stuff that Nick would do too. That pisses me off. That's the kind of stuff.
Same thing with the Goddard. Like he actually got some playing time, but they were utilizing him. Like he was a big focal point of that offense before they took him out.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that just ticks me off, because it's like you got the whole entire game, the whole entire season to let people have their moments. And then you wait like to the end of the season, and all of a sudden you want to bust them out in the playoffs and throw the ball to him, and he'll say, I had complete confidence in him the whole time, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I hope they take this as like a chance, like to kind of incorporate some of this stuff into the offense for Hurts, because it looked like there was. I've honestly, I mean, obviously you have to change some things up for different quarterbacks, but it seemed like the pass game was like the schemes and the routes that they were running looked different than what we were seeing previously when Hurts was the quarterback. I'm hoping that maybe Kellen Moore kind of found a rhythm with some of these play calling and maybe starts incorporating that into the offense a little bit more when Hurts come back. That way we are getting more Jahan Dotson catches and more Goddard catches and spreading the ball around a little bit more.
Every time I see my guy Hurts, I'm a big Hurts fan. I see a lot of focus on A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I think the biggest thing with him is just saying, you know what, those are my guys, those are my go-tos, but let me try to get some of the other people involved. And that's something that, I'll constantly say that is a lot of him too, because we can say, oh, the plays are not being called, this isn't that, and this isn't this, and those things can be true, but at the end of the day, you are the one that's out there delivering the ball. So we don't need you to look around and say, I see a green jersey, it's open. I see a white jersey, it's open. I see a Kelly Green jersey, it's open. Let me get the ball there. Let's do that. And stop playing, man.
Agreed.
Stop playing, man. It's playoffs, bro. We in the playoffs. I know we're not talking about the playoffs yet, but it's playoffs. So for those of us that are actually in the playoffs, we gotta make something happen. All right, so let's do this way here, sir. So we had a game. We did. We had a game. Sorry, wrong one. All right. Review week 18 Giants. Only thing I'm gonna say about the game is our backups got a chance to show what they could do. Jordan Davis had a lot of fun playing with the starters. So, I mean, we did what we were supposed to do. I say this on the show a lot. I say this on NFC Beast. If you watch that, the Giants, they understood the assignment and they had a 3rd overall pick. They did what they were supposed to do and they lost.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not too much to say because it didn't really matter as far as win or lose for us. I'm glad we won. Obviously, it helps get to the 14 wins for like the 2nd time in 3 years. But I mean, the middle of the game, there really wasn't too much going on. I mean, the 2nd and 3rd quarter, you have 6 points combined for both teams. A lot of the stuff happened in the 1st quarter and then, of course, in the 4th. But yeah, the Giants, there was no way they wanted to come out here and win this. I mean, maybe the players wanted to, but the organization didn't. They wanted the better draft pick in this one. But I mean, the guys that we had out there came, like I mentioned with McKee, they all came out and did exactly what they needed to do. Sidney Brown was out there flying around. I always thought that he needed, like when he's healthy, he needs more opportunity on the defense. And it was good to see him out there getting some reps. Same with like Ricks and Ringo and everybody. Isaiah Rodgers had a nice kickoff return and everything. They're talking about maybe possibly using him a little bit for kickoff returns in the playoffs, just because maybe conserve, Cooper and everybody else, since Britton Covey's hurt and everything, he's not going to be doing it. There's a lot of talk about possibly putting him back there, especially with what he was able to do against the Giants, but it is the Giants. But I mean, there's really not much to talk about as far as this game. I'm just glad we won, but I mean, the stats aren't pretty. I mean, maybe for Tanner McKee, but everybody else, I mean, the run game really wasn't too there with the offensive linemen out and everything. I mean, the lead rusher was Will Shipley, and he only had 32 yards, 10 carries. Kenny Gainwell had 11 carries for 14 yards. But, yeah, not really much to talk about as far as this game goes.
Fair enough. All right, so we're going to go ahead and swing into our first break. When we come back from the break, this is what y'all been maybe waiting for, maybe not. We're just going to basically go right into playoffs. We're going to talk about all the playoff games. We'll hit a break in there somewhere, possibly, depending on how we feel, how we get into it. And then that's pretty much what we're going to be doing tonight. Because, hey, at the end of the day, it's playoff time. We won our game. And, of course, we'll dig a little bit into the Eagles game, maybe a little extra digging, because you know how we get down. Maybe just extra scoop it to it digging. So Rex, what's going on, Rex? Rex says Jahan Dotson is like a submarine. He's there to help other wide receivers. Definitely, I would agree with that. But at the same time, for me, I just like to see a guy get some opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be 100-yard games, but at least some targets, some catches. Somebody's out. I'd like to see him step up and start to get some of those looks. And that's the thing with me. Like, I don't expect him to come out and have a 1,000-yard season or a 700-yard season, but a good 300-400 yards for your third wide receiver with these two dominant wide receivers and then throwing to the tight ends. I think that would have been great, right? And it just didn't happen, but it is what it is.
Give him the type of opportunity that you were giving Quez Watkins over the past couple years. You were actually having play action. Exactly. But like, give him those play action passes that you used to throw to Quez. Like, you were trying to bomb him to Quez at certain points. Why aren't you drawing up some certain plays for Jahan Dotson like this? It's like, it seems like they're barely drawing anything up for him.
Agreed. And because we are in the playoffs, we will not be playing any commercials from any other NFL team, because you know what? We're in the playoffs. You're all our direct enemies right now. Direct, not indirect.
The ops.
You are the ops, and we ain't rocking with the ops. Period. Let's go, y'all.
Whether it's news, the largest egg producer finds bird flu in chickens at a Texas plant, weather, devastating tornadoes rip through the heart of the United States, inspiration, a breast cancer survivor completed the journey of chemotherapy, and now begins a future one of matrimony or sports. Michael Jordan is shown on a photo with Diddy. LeBron James has a video extolling the virtues of a Diddy party. This has been yet another beating a dead horse presentation. We got you covered. BS3 Network proudly presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson, live every weekday morning beginning April 29th at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central. Drew Willingham.
In this case, yeah, you put the blame on Kyle Shanahan for apparently not preparing the team enough for the overtime rules, supposedly.
Cole Johnson.
Peyton was considered the winner, and he was the darling of all darlings for Gerald.
With a special appearance by Tyrone Alizé McDummy.
Ain't nobody calling me. Text. Delete! 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 Delete!
Join these two football enthusiasts as they give you Total Football Talk. Live every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on the Sertoba Media and the Comey Media YouTube channels.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition,
Dear whatever the law firm is.
Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court. Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
All right, good people. We are back in the building. It's time to talk some playoffs. We got playoffs all around, everywhere. We're going to get everything up, and we're going to talk about everything within order of what's crackling, when it's crackling. So we know we got games on Saturday. We got games on Sunday. Well, a game on Monday. So I'm waiting for this to pull back up because I pull all this stuff up, I promise y'all, ahead of time. But now my computer say, oh, we're going to make you wait because that's fun for me. Watching you sit down and try to talk about what I ain't going to pull up for you pimping. Oh, good. We're going to make it work. Twerculations all day. All right. So schedule. It won't let me do it that way. So I'm going to pull up past the regular season. Here we go. So Saturday, 4:30 p.m. CBS. We have the Los Angeles Superchargers. And shout out to the Chargers for making it to the playoffs. Because we've talked a lot on the show amongst ourselves and our chats and everything on how the Texans play really well, but the Chargers normally choke it away down the stretch. 11-6 this season. They didn't choke it away down the stretch. So shout out for them for sliding in there and making things happen. But back to the game. They visit the Houston Texans, 4:30 p.m. Wyatt, what are your thoughts? Who's going to win this game? How do you think this game is going to play out? What do you think is going to happen in that Chargers Texans game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a pretty even game for most of it. I do have the Chargers most likely coming out on top of this one just because of how, for lack of a better word, like inconsistent the Texans can be at certain times on both offense and on defense. I mean, it's not CJ Stroud just hasn't had the season that he did last year. And I mean, that's, people call it a sophomore slump, but he's had those flashes in him. It just seems like the Chargers are kind of about halfway through the season, they started hitting their stride, figuring out what was working, what wasn't working. So, I mean, it just seems it'll probably be a close one, but I got the Chargers with the edge on this one coming out.
Yeah, you know, I'm a big fan of the Texans, but I feel like Stroud's down his top two receivers. He's definitely been the epitome of sophomore slump. their defense hasn't lived up to maybe too lofty of expectations. So a lot of things going against Houston. The Chargers are going to come out there. They're going to try to run the ball. They're going to try to, impose what they consider imposing their will on this game. Everything I look at tells me I should pick the Chargers. I don't know, man, but for some reason, I just feel like Houston's going to pull it out. I just feel like they're going to get that. Somehow they're going to pull a little bit of that magic out of the hat, that little leprechaun rainbow luck, and just find a way to get a win in this game. They've had a tough season, but, it's playoffs. The Chargers don't know nothing about the playoffs. Playoffs. Playoffs, right? So I think the Chargers are going to find a way to win this, to lose this specific game. I don't think the Texans are going to be able to do much. And if you were to tell me I feel like the Chargers are going to beat the Texans, I don't think you're wrong at all. I don't think there's any part of what you're saying is wrong. I don't think it's like, oh, what would you say that for? I just had this feeling. Maybe it's indigestion, but I have this feeling that the Texans are going to win this game. So I'm going to pick the Texans, even though everything tells me it should be the Chargers. For some reason, I feel like it's going to be the Texans. If it's wrong,
Texans are kind of a scrappy team.
Yeah. So if it's wrong, y'all, it was just indigestion, but I have a feeling. Oh, man. I do think this is going to be a good game on Saturday. I think it's going to be close. I just think they're going to find a way to pull it out, maybe a field goal or something. Nothing major, but just, or maybe they hit them early and just stay on them. Plus, Houston's at home, and they're pretty decent at home. I'm not saying that at home makes them an unbeatable team, but they're pretty solid at home. So,
yeah. If the Chargers are able to get a lead, I don't know if the Texans will be able to come back and win. Like if they get down, touchdown.
Yeah, that's fair. Something's just telling me, man. Like I say, it could be indigestion. It could be just a gut feeling. But something's telling me Texas is going to find a way to win.
Hey, I might put some money on. Like, who got that feeling? Something's telling them. Got to put some money on them Texans.
Hey, don't put no more like $5 or $10 though, because I don't want you to be mad at me next week. All right, so we'll move on. Saturday night. So I got to say this. I think that the NFL did a fantastic job in the late game all 3 days. Monday, obviously, is just the one game, but their quote-unquote primetime game, I think they did a really good job of the matchups that they put in primetime. Say that as an Eagles fan who's playing at 4:30, but I think they made the way that they did it makes a lot of sense. So first of those night games, Saturday night, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at 10-7 traveling to a team that they split with this year that seems to be maybe catching their stride in the Baltimore Ravens. Divisional matchup round 3, 1-1. So they hitting heads again right here in the playoffs. I got to be honest, Wyatt. I don't see a way Pittsburgh beats Baltimore this game. I just don't see it. I'm not saying that it's completely like unbelievable, unfounded, it can't happen, but I just don't see a way where they beat them. I can't convince myself of a way. I really can't. I can't convince myself how with Russell Wilson, as Diva would say, Russell Wilson as the quarterback, I just don't see them being able to be successful in playoff football this year. I think their defense will be good. There's a defense that held Saquon to one of his lowest totals of the year. So give them credit for that. But I just feel like that offense is not going to do enough to help the defense. And unfortunately, my guy Mike Tomlin, who I'm fond of as a coach, even though he's not the Eagles coach, I think he's going to be one and out again. But I think, honestly, when you look at it, a lot of Steelers fans, and I know you've probably heard it too, oh, it's time to get rid of Mike Tomlin. He can't win. Mike Tomlin has not been put in situations to win. His number one wide receivers got butterfingers. His quarterback fumbles the ball, throws bad plays, throws balls to guys that fumble. I don't know what's going on, but like there's a lot of other people, if they were coaching this team, they would not be in the playoffs. I'm gonna say that about Pittsburgh Steelers. Like I said, defensively, I will not take anything away. I think defensively, I wouldn't call them a great defense, but they're a very solid defense. Offensively, outside of run game, this big thing about Russell was brought in because he's supposed to fix the fact that they don't throw the ball down the field, but when you're getting picked and fumbling and missing throws and everything, and then guys are dropping balls, it doesn't matter if you're throwing down the field or not. So, all that being said, King Henry is about to run all over Pittsburgh. I think he's ready to play. The defense is gonna step up. It's playoffs. They understand it's when to go home, and then your reigning MVP as of now. There hasn't been another one crowned yet. You're reigning and defending MVP. It's time to get deep in the playoffs. It's time to get to the championship game and pass. So you got to start by being Pittsburgh. I'm gonna go Baltimore. That was long-winded, by the way.
No, it's hard to argue against that, man. I don't see a way that Pittsburgh's going to win this one either. I mean, they simply just haven't been the same since they played us, to be honest. Since they played Philly, it seems like they've been just on that downward decline ever since. They're just getting beat up on. The offense just hasn't been able to put anything together as far as anything consistent, as far as a run game. A lot of issues with George Pickens, whether he's actually out there and not catching balls or just, having these temper tantrums. Pittsburgh just always has a weird thing. Like they find good wide receivers, but they have like the worst like personalities and like everything, like Antonio Brown. I mean, you have Le'Veon Bell as the running back and everything. You have other wide receivers as well that have had their issues. I don't know. I think their problem is they just need to go out and get like a solid one, like get a number one wide receiver. Like I understand they like to have like these draft these wide receivers and build like home grow them, but go out there and get you a free agent or trade for a dope wide receiver that'll actually go out there like an AJ Brown type who's easily going to get you 1,000 yards on a season, be that leader in the locker room, and then maybe get him a quarterback that kind of fits that mold with him as well. I don't know if Russell's the answer. I'm not sure if Justin Fields is the answer either. But it seems like Pittsburgh's just kind of in the same rut every single year. We talk about how Tomlin's never had a losing season, but as soon as they get into the playoffs, they're one and done. And it just seems like their offense just kind of just gets stale and they never change up anything throughout the season, especially going into the playoffs. And that's really where their downfall is. They rely on a lot of these guys that just aren't ready for the big time, or they're just coordinators just aren't putting a solid enough game plan together. And I mean, their defense is decent each year. It's just their offense is what's holding them back each and every year. And they thought that was going to change with firing their old offensive coordinator, but it looks like it's just more of the same after halfway through the season. It kind of went back to the same. So, I mean, I understand Baltimore is probably going to be without Flowers. Is that correct? Like he's hurt. He's probably going to be out. So, and like you mentioned, Pittsburgh has a tough run defense. But I think with Derrick Henry, as long as the Ravens commit to the run, because it seems like whenever they fail or they lose these games, that's when they stop running. And either it's Lamar or Derrick Henry. Look at the game when the Ravens played us. Lamar didn't run nearly as much as we see him in any of these other games. And that could have been another reason why we beat them. So, I mean, you're going to need both of them running and playing at a high caliber, and we're going to have to see him relying on a lot of these other receivers as well. So, I mean, if I got to pick one of these teams, like an offense and defense against the other, has got to be the Ravens. I just think they're a more complete team. Lamar Jackson has a lot to prove as far as being like going to a Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl. We know he can be an MVP. We know what type of player he is. He probably might win an MVP this year. So, I mean, everything, if the Ravens don't do this, I just don't understand. Like there's something seriously wrong if the Ravens can't come out with a win in Baltimore against a Pittsburgh team that is just doesn't have anything going for them at this moment. Like it doesn't seem like they have any like momentum or any like, I don't know, for lack of a better term, like aura around them, like the Ravens or any of these other playoffs teams do.
Yeah, man, this Steelers team is just very interesting, man. You hit on a lot of the issues I think I see with them. You've got to have like a solid, like real number one receiver, and they've drafted some guys, but they just like Pickens shouldn't be dropping balls like he is now, right? Yeah. Mike Williams might end up being a guy that's really important to them moving forward. So maybe he's the guy because he had some really good years with the Chargers. So maybe he's the guy, but you got to get a guy that can throw him the ball.
Yeah, exactly. I think these guys would be great, like wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3s, but you need that number one there that you can really kind of rely on when you need to if these other guys aren't stepping up.
That is true as well. That is very true as well. You do need guys to step up, and everybody doesn't step up, and you do need them ones, and they're hard to come by. But maybe if you can get 2 really good 2s, maybe that'll work. They can catch the ball.
Maybe.
Definitely not worked so far for them, but I don't think they've had guys that really focus on. I feel like development too. Like this is a team that wide receiver is clearly the main problem, right? I mean, quarterback is quarterback. We know there's only so many good quarterbacks in the league, and they tried with Pickett. I didn't think that was going to work, and it didn't, but they tried with him. But I'm a big proponent of at least if you have somewhere you're going, right? Like if you're sitting here and you're saying, I want this guy as my quarterback. Okay, it doesn't work out. He doesn't project to be what you want to be. At least you have a plan in place. And Pittsburgh has had plans. They have not worked, but they have had plans. So now it's just let's evaluate the talent a little bit better. Let's do something different with our talent evaluation. And maybe they can get a guy in here to be the number one that also has it right mentally. Because Juju, we thought he was going to be that guy after AB just got knocked crazy. He didn't end up being that guy. Then Pickens didn't end up being that guy. So it's just a continual list of guys.
Wasn't Deontay Johnson?
He might be the guy. Yeah. Now he's
like on his 4th team or 3rd team.
You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy, but yeah, he decided not to go in the game against the Eagles like Baltimore like crazy. But
yeah,
you just got to get guys that want it and want to be there, and people can tell you that. But if you're continually having the same type of issues with your draft picks, it might be time to draft a little different. Just saying, a little bit of a little help for our brethren on the other side of the state. A little game for you. All right. 1 o'clock Sunday. This definitely is the 1 o'clock game. No disrespect to the Broncos, but of all the games, this is definitely the one game that should be at 1 o'clock. Denver Broncos travel to Buffalo to play the Buffalo Bills. It's going to be cold. Denver's not adverse to cold weather, but this is that northeastern, just nasty, probably snow, if not bone-chilling cold. Denver's been the Cinderella of the league. They've been that Cinderella team. Buffalo's the second best team record-wise and probably play-wise. At least between second and third. Well, actually, I would think second best play-wise because, in my opinion, Baltimore then Buffalo. Kansas City's probably like 4th, in my opinion, in actual play in the AFC. Not record, but play.
Yeah,
so, there's that. I'll give you my picks after Wyatt because we're going to kind of rotate who goes first. Wyatt. So, Wyatt, your thoughts on Buffalo, Denver?
Man, I mean, congrats for the Broncos getting this far and making it in. My buddy is a Broncos fan. I've been friends with him since we were kids. So, I mean, I was excited for him when his team made the playoffs after so long since Peyton Manning was there and everything. So, I mean, as of right now, I mean, they weren't expected to get this far, especially with, a young QB and everything. So they're playing with house money. They're just out here, just trying to upset somebody. And hey, I'll be rooting for them. I mean, I like a good Cinderella story. It'd be awesome to see them just make the playoffs and then somehow take out the Bills. But I think we all know what's going to happen in this game, man. I think the Bills might just come in here and just dismantle the Broncos. I mean, the Broncos have a decent defense, but man, with Josh Allen and those weapons, I don't see a way that the Broncos are going to come out with a win in this one. Maybe they'll be able to somehow make it closer than a lot of people expected, but I don't think anybody expects them to come out with a win in this one. That's why it's a 1 o'clock game.
Right. Definitely, man. I mean, I don't know Denver. I don't know.
I don't like Sean Payton though either, so it's all kind of a
yeah.
I want him to win. I would like to have him knock off the Bills, but at the other hand, I don't want Sean Payton to win.
Yeah, you have to start there. I'm gonna go. Definitely, I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills. I think if anything besides the Buffalo Bills winning, Sean McDermott might be out there for those teams looking for a head coach because you got to win at some point. But I think Buffalo definitely should. I mean, honestly, they should dominate this game. Denver has nothing to play for. You can always make the argument, all the pressure's on Buffalo. Well, Buffalo's a team that's been in pressure situations before. Right? They've been a team that you've expected to go deep and make a run for the last couple of years. So this is nothing new to them. Denver is kind of like the I'm trying to figure out how to say this the best way possible. So they're like the teenager that just turned 18 and wants to get their first cigar or a cigarette, right? They're just happy to get it, right? They're just happy to get to the playoffs. And that's what I see Denver as. And, in that situation, what really happens is you're going to get smacked down. Like, you're going to get beat down, but you'll learn something from the beatdown. That's the important part if you're a young team. Denver's young. I think they're ahead of schedule. Shout out, if he's watching, to my boy Sid. Sid is a big Broncos fan, covers them, repping them hard. He took all the punishment all the years they were bad. He took the punishment. So big ups to him, and I gave him a lot of work throughout the season about his Broncos. But hey, they stood in there. They're in the playoffs. But I think that's as far as they're going to go. Josh Allen should do his thing. He's going to throw the ball around. He's going to share it. There's not really one guy to take away. So teams that really have a chance against Buffalo are guys that have multiple corners and defensive backs that can cover all the receivers. Because if you try to just take one guy away like you can do against a lot of teams and make the other guys beat you, they don't have that true number one, in my opinion. Acting as that would be Amari Cooper, but he's at best a 1B. At this point in his career. Maybe a couple of years ago he was a 1, but he's at best a 1B now. So there's that too. So I think Buffalo's going to be prepared for them. Surtain, wherever you put him, just don't throw the ball there. Other guys are a little bit more susceptible.
Yeah.
And the game of the week for me and Wyatt, and for most, if not everybody watching, we got the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay is 11-6. Philadelphia is 14-3. Sunday, 4:30 p.m. Wyatt, this is the team. I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay.
Talk to us about this in much detail as you want, because it's the squad.
Yeah, I mean, as everybody knows, it's Hurts season. Hurts is back as of right now, looking like he'll probably be a full participant in practice. I mean, it seems like Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni, they're not concerned with Jalen having any kind of rust in here. They had full padded practice today. Probably going to have padded practices the rest of the week, I would assume. And then maybe like the walkthrough on Saturday or something. So, I mean, I'm not really concerned with the rust because we've seen a full season of Jalen Hurts and what he's able to do. It would have been nice to have him practicing last week or so, but we already had that conversation. As far as the Packers, they're banged up, man. I mean, you have Jair Alexander missing the rest of the season. Watson just went down. He's out probably the rest of the season now. They're looking banged up. Jordan Love, his elbow, I think, is injured. He was limited today in practice. Their backup's limited as well. They're most likely he's going to play, though. It's not anything that's going to keep him out of a playoff game. But, I mean, I think the real threat as far as the Packers go, I think it's going to be their run. I think it's going to be Josh Jacobs. I mean, we've seen what he's been able to do for them this season. And I think that's going to be a big test for our defensive line and just run blocking and stopping the run in general and just tackling and wrapping guys up here. But I mean, as far as like their passing game, it took a huge hit with Watson going, and that was like their main deep threat receiver. So, I mean, I think a lot of stuff that we're going to see from them is like short, quick throws, trying to get the ball out as fast as possible, or just trying to run the ball as much as possible against us. So I think because with Watson out, I think it's going to help our defense out a lot more. I mean, I was giving our defense an edge against their offense anyway, just because of how wishy-washy they've looked over the past couple weeks. But I think with that blow to the receiving core is going to help out big time for us. And especially with their defense with Alexander out, I think our offense, as long as we're able to get something going in that first quarter, which is something they've been able to do over this past couple weeks, even that last week or so with Hurts, but with the backups, we were able to put points up on the board in the first quarter. So hopefully we're kind of getting the momentum going a little bit sooner in these games. And hopefully that carries over through the playoff here. Cause if we start out and maybe scoring a touchdown or getting points on the board in that first quarter, I think it's a wrap from there. I think if we're able to get up like a touchdown or 10 points, I think it's going to be hard for Green Bay to really come back into the game after that, especially if they have to lean on the run. If we start getting a lead, it's going to be hard for them to come back. So I, of course, have the Birds in this one. I think a lot of people have the Birds, especially with Hurts coming into the game and everything. I don't think there's much that the Packers could do to really win this one, unless they get the ball and they start, getting points early. They have to, start running early and be able to get that lead and hold the lead from us. But I think we have enough firepower and enough weapons on offense and defense. We'll be able to take care of it and move on to the next round.
So, like a lot of what Wyatt said, I'll add, I think defensively, Green Bay is good, not great. I think our offense with Hurts, I think he's going to be a little rusty at first. I think he is a little rusty. I'm not really concerned about it, but it's more of I acknowledge that if a guy doesn't play for pretty much 3 weeks at the end of the season and then goes into the playoffs, you're probably going to try to limit his throws, at least at the beginning of the game. Hopefully, this is Nick we're talking about. Hopefully, we're going to use the run game. We've got 3 backs. Let's give them all 3 some run, right? Give a couple carries, see what they can do. Maybe Will Shipley comes in. He has a really good game. He works well against this defense. Run him. Maybe Gainwell runs well. Whoever runs well, get them going. Get Saquon in there. And let's really use that run game. And like you said, we can get early scores, get up by like 10 points, and then just grind down the clock. Run the ball, grind down the clock, short passes. I think that's a big part of what can help us be successful. I get the big play sometimes, but sometimes it makes more sense instead of having the 2-minute drive that ends with a 50-yard touchdown throw. Let's have the 9-10 minute drive where we grind the ball down. We just get first down after first down after first down. Take time off the clock, wear it on the defense, then get our defense on the field, get them off again quick, get their defense back on the field for another 7 to 10 minute drive. So I think that's the move. The only thing is you need to end these drives with points, preferably touchdowns, because we know Diva was here. That's what she would say. But at least field goals, at least getting points on the board. Because if we can rotate between field goals and touchdowns, then we're good. The thing is, we don't want all field goals. That's
or
that.
Make the field goals, Jake. I want you out here kicking 300 balls a day up until this playoff game.
All right, so Stephen B says we needed to rest our players. Week 5 was a long time ago. So there is that argument, and I don't disagree with that. But I think having them play a little bit could have been good, because the one thing that concerns me about this game and about, whoever we would have played in this specific game, the one thing that concerns me is those guys not suiting up at all. And basically the whole offense and everybody on defense but Jordan Davis. So the problem with that for me is now you're going to tell them to get back on your routine to go into the playoffs. I wouldn't have been upset if they played a quarter, if they played half a quarter. I just would have liked to see them suit up, go out there with Jalen, make some throws, and hey, okay, we've seen enough, we're good, take them out. But I felt like that would have been the better move for me. I agree our bye has been a long time ago. We've been going through it. But at the same time, for the most part, with everything that's happened, we've been essentially a really healthy team. Obviously hurt a couple of weeks ago, but to have had our bye in week 5, and then right now, we've been, for someone that's been through that, this team has been healthy. But again, habits form over that amount of time too, and we kind of broke some of those this week. So hopefully they can get back home. That's mainly the concerns I have. I think our offense, we're going to need to just take what's there. If they're saying we're going to put 8-9 people in the box and make you throw the ball, Jalen, make the right throws, get some bubble screens, some quick slants, some out routes, some hook routes, different things, short passes, some passes to the running backs, whoever's in the game. All of the backs that we have are guys that can catch the ball as well, so that adds another element. So it's going to be up to Kellen Moore, and of course, Sirianni's going to probably have to have something to say because of how he is. You know how I feel about that too, but it's going to be up to them to just make things happen. I'm very interested to see what we come out and do play-wise with those scripted plays. Defensively, we just need to leave them the heck alone. Nick, don't go yelling at nobody. You shut up, smile and yell and complain to the refs. Do what you're there to do. And let's let these guys play. We've always been better when we had good coordinators than Nick Sirianni. When we had good coordinators calling the plays. When Nick Sirianni's been calling the plays or we've been using his playbook, it has not worked out well. So all I want is give us good games. give us a game that we can say the Eagles went out and executed a great game plan that won them this game. And however Green Bay plays you, then play off this. They said we're going to see what Jalen Hurts can do. So we're not going to stack the box to see what happens. Throw the ball when necessary, but run the ball. Jalen, I'm okay with you taking off too. But when you take off, the one thing I need you to have learned, do not Carson Wentz it.
Please
Legs
no.
first. Do not
Please
Carson
no.
Wentz it. Legs first.
Or just run out of bounds if you can.
Yeah, you got to bounce, but you got to go down, slide early.
Bro, I don't
Legs
know if I can handle another thing like that.
Yeah, slide, leg first.
That game had me broken against Seattle.
Yeah,
I was so pissed.
Yeah, we don't need any more of that. Any other thoughts on the Eagles?
Man, just go Birds, man. I have us heavily winning this game. I'm not saying it's gonna be a blowout or anything, but I think we should easily, handle Bears.
Let's pack the Packers up and send them home.
Yeah.
I believe in us, and I believe in Joe Hendry.
The Linc's gonna be rocking.
Oh man!
And apparently they're saying it might be a blackout game too, wearing them black unis and everything.
And if I was close, boy, I think the reason I don't live close to Philly is because I won't have no money.
It's the betterment of your finances.
Yeah, because I'd be like,
stay away.
I got like $5 in the account. I'm going to the Eagles game. You know what I'm saying?
My one buddy was trying to convince me to go to one of the playoff games. I was like, I don't know if I can swing that, man. I would love to, but I don't know. I don't know if my wallet can handle that.
One of these days, maybe, but today is not that day.
No.
Maybe the end of 2025 things will look a little better, but the beginning of 2025, it's not that time. Got a lot of things coming up that's gonna cost the fundages, so no. But should be a good game. I agree. I think we win. It's gonna get to the next round. See who we'll be playing. That may be a concern because these the two teams that will be playing. One of them, which we're gonna talk about their game next, do concern me slightly. They do concern me slightly. We'll talk about that if we get there and whoever gets there, but there are some concerns with who we might be playing. So I'll be honest with you and say that. I'm not one of them guys that be like, oh, we're gonna go walk through everybody and just destroy everybody by 50 points. Sorry, Eagles for Like, we don't do that over here.
No, we gotta be realistic about it.
Sunday night. Yeah, you gotta be realistic. Because we're one Nick Sirianni bad meltdown away from being at home. Washington Commanders, 12-5, are being hosted by the 10-7 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who won their division. Sunday Night Football, 8 p.m. These two teams, I think, match up well. You've got Jaden Daniels, the young boy. He'll run the ball, throw the ball. You want to keep him healthy. He's another guy that took some hits that hurt him a little bit this year. Had the rib injury running on the Steelers. They lingered a couple of weeks. He's had moments. He's looked really good with his arm and legs. He's what I would call a true dual threat. I said it about Hurts. I said it about Lamar Jackson. A couple of guys, right? Josh Allen. True dual threats, guys that can run the ball pretty well and throw the ball. But you don't want to get into a situation with Todd Bowles, because what I will say about Todd Bowles, I'm sure Wyatt will back me up on this. Todd Bowles will look at your film, and Todd Bowles and his DC will come up with a game plan to say, this is how we're going to get that sucker. And the reasons I say Todd Bowles and his defensive coordinator is because he's had multiple defensive coordinators, and when he plays the Eagles, it's always difficult for Jalen Hurts. Or before Hurts was there, Wentz, it was difficult for Wentz too. So it's one of those things where he just looks at quarterbacks, figures out ways to attack them, the things that they don't do well, and he will use those against you. I'm sure he's going to do the same thing with Jaden Daniels. The Commanders, we've always had questions about their secondary. Mike Evans should have a field day in this game. He should be adding to his all-time yards. I know this is a man that I'm sure is looking in the future and say, I want to be in the Hall of Fame. So whenever I'm going up against a secondary, I should be able to take advantage of. I need to do that. I think Washington is susceptible to some plays. Washington hasn't been running the ball well lately either, and that's that could be a big concern in the playoffs because you sometimes need those long drives to just drag out the clock. And if you're not running the ball well, you can't really have a long drive because number one, you're going to put it all on your quarterback, which you don't want to do against the best teams in the NFL because if you continue to do that against the best teams, he's going to get hurt. So I think they're going to have to figure out a way to run the ball. I think Tampa, Baker Mayfield, he's kind of out to prove that he's a really good quarterback. He's still got that chip on his shoulder. A lot of people will say that's ridiculous, but I think that's what quarterbacks need. Quarterbacks need to feel like nobody believes in me sometimes. People still doubt me. I still remember being in Cleveland, right? I still remember being in Carolina, right? So sometimes need to remember those bad times to be the best version of yourself. I think that's what we're going to end up seeing from Baker Mayfield. They can run the ball fairly decently. Man. Tampa's at home. I'm going to call this about close to a 50-50 as you can get. How about a 48-52%? I'm going to go Tampa at home, but I wouldn't be surprised, and this is hedging my bets, and I know people say, dude, come on, but it's just one of those games. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington does find a way to pull out an upset, but I feel like Tampa's going to get the win. I think the difference is being at home. Home cooking.
Yeah, that's pretty fair assessment. You pretty much hit the nail on the head. I think the Broncos are just overall the better all around team, like as far as defense and the offense goes, and they have a decent amount of weapons on offense as well. Is Godwin hurt? I haven't been paying much attention to the Bucks at all.
Yeah, he's hurt. Let me see. I don't think he's going to be back, but I'll double check that while you're talking. I'll let you know.
Oh yeah, they have a really good run game. So I think that's going to be, they're going to try to lean on that. I mean, they're going to be throwing him Mike Evans, I'm sure, but I feel like Tampa's going to try to lean on that run game a lot to kind of chew the clock, control the time of possession. I don't think the Washington's defense is going to be that good to stop the run and then also stop some of the weapons they have on offense. And I would also take the Bucks defense, like you said, with Todd Bowles and everything, over Washington as well. Overall, the game, I think the Bucks are going to win a close one probably. But my heart, I want Washington. I want Washington in that next round, man. I want them to come to Philly, play Jalen Hurts. He's going to play the whole game, and I hope we smash him in Philly. That's just my heart. But I think overall the Bucks are going to come out on top with this one. I think it'll be a close game. I think, like you said, I think Washington's going to have to figure something out with that run game, whether it's because they got Eckler back, I'm pretty sure. They're going to have Jaden Daniels try to run around a little bit, use his legs, try to utilize some of the running backs they have, and then try to maybe hopefully get some of the receivers open. I maybe have a big day for Ertz because they've been leaning on him a lot through the back half of the season. But I think a lot of it's going to come down to playoff experience as well. The Bucks have a lot of guys that have playoff experience, not just from last year, but the Super Bowl year and all that. They still have a lot of guys that carried over. So I think a lot of that experience is going to help as well. So, I mean, especially being in Tampa, I got Tampa with the edge on this one.
Yeah, Godwin won't be back for playoffs.
Okay.
Todd Bowles confirmed it. He won't be back.
Okay. Even so, I'll still take Tampa.
Yeah, they've had some other guys step up and kind of be that number two.
Yeah.
Akabidi, so yeah. All right, and then another really good game. We've got the 14-3 Minnesota Vikings coming fresh off of L against the Los Angeles Rams. So let me put that game specifically in importance. The winner of this game is going to play the Lions. So if the Vikings win round 3 against the Lions, if the Rams win, their compensatory prize for winning is they get to go to Detroit and play the Lions. Who you got winning this game? Why and why?
I'm going to pick the Vikings in this one. I mean, I just don't think the Rams D is going to be that good to hold them back as far as like the weapons that Minnesota has, unless they're able to put pressure on Sam Darnold. I think if they're able to get a lot of pressure on Sam Darnold, I think they'll be able to get him to make a lot of mistakes and possibly be able to seal something if their offense is able to get rolling with a rhythm. But I think Minnesota is just too good as of right now. I think they will falter, whether it's against the Lions or somebody else in the playoffs. I don't think Minnesota is going to the Super Bowl by any means, because I mean it's Sam Darnold we're talking about, man. Come on now. It's Sam Darnold. We know who he is. 1 year is not going to change that. And just because he doesn't have like any playoff experience or anything like that as well. He had a good season. I'll give him that. But I think the Vikings, I think they'll win this one, but I don't think they'll go any further than this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go to Vikings too. The Rams just don't have it, man. Like they won their division. They got 10 wins, so I'm not taking anything away from them. They just don't feel like they have it. And I feel like when you're in that type of situation, it's just And when I see the Rams play, it's like you might have Puka go off one game, you might have somebody else go off, but you don't have them go off together. Running the ball. Didn't their running back get hurt, I believe?
I'm not sure. Hold on a second.
I think it was their running back who got hurt. No, somebody's running back got hurt. I think it was them, the Rams. But even so, they just scream mediocrity. The Rams just scream mediocrity to me. I'm not saying that there's no possibility the game is in LA, but a lot of times when you play the Rams, the stadium becomes your home team stadium. I think that's going to happen again with Minnesota. Minnesota has enough weapons that they can get those guys going, run the ball consistently as well, make the game easy for Sam Darnold. He should be able to win this specific matchup. Not saying he's going to win enough games to get to the Super Bowl or anything like that, but he should be able to win the game this week. And that's what we're looking at this week.
Yeah.
All right, we got a comment here from Carlos Rosado. Carlos, thank you for tuning in, man. He says, I'm not really concerned about any team. I believe we match up very well on both sides, but I'm also a realist. Let's just get through game one, but I'm very confident in this year's team. Carlos, you could have said it better myself. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to mix two things together. But yeah, I agree.
100%. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think especially watching the Vikings and Lions game and some of these other games over this past week, I mean, I just feel like the Eagles are all around a more complete team on both sides of the football. So I feel like as long as we're playing up to our standards, as long as the standards keep the standard to standard, we'll be able to go out there and beat any team that comes our way. But got to take it one game at a time, like he's saying.
What was it 2 years ago? 1% better every day?
Yeah, 1% better every day.
I actually kind of like that. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I feel like Minnesota's the one who's going to win this game, and then Eagles. Hey, I just want to win. I'm one of the guys that I don't care about style points. I don't care about who looks cuter. I don't care about any of that. All I care about is at the end of the game, if the score is 21-20, as long as that 21 is Philadelphia, I'm happy. Now, the sexy wins, getting more points and all that, do that make people happy? Are people like, oh, whatever? They go on their shows. We come on here and talk a little smack. We drag somebody. But at the end of the day, as long as we can win, I'm happy. It's playoff time, baby. None of that stuff matters anymore. It's just win or go home.
Exactly. We could do that during the regular season and kind of complain about whether it was an ugly win or whatever, but it's playoffs. If you're able to get a win, I don't care how it looked. Win's a win. We moving on.
Every win is beautiful to me in the playoffs.
Exactly.
One
step closer to the goal.
Every win is beautiful. So, a couple of things that we need to say to this one's for everybody that's in the playoffs. If you're not the Philadelphia Eagles in your playoff, this is for you.
Just bring it, bitch!
And also, I want you to remember, when we're talking about any sport, really, the best players, who's the best, all that stuff, this always is what happens.
But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And for being the leading rusher in the NFL, Saquon Barkley has something for everyone, especially for the New York Football Giants.
Acknowledge me.
And should the Philadelphia Eagles, if they stay healthy, be your Super Bowl champions this year? Here's the answer.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
And also, Micah Parsons, a couple of weeks ago, you came out and you said, if it wasn't for the score, take the score out of it's only 5 or 5 plays while the Eagles beat the Cowboys. I didn't get to do this last week, but Micah Parsons, this is for you for that statement. And also, coming out this week and talking about next year, the Dallas Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
But he did. Couple of comments here. Shady Sports says, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Absolutely.
Shady Sports also says, please hit the like, comment, and subscribe button. If you came in after we started, we would appreciate it if you go back, rewind afterwards, and check us out from the beginning until the point that you came in now, so you can see the totality of Eagles Elite this week. And in the previous weeks, you want to hear our thoughts on the games, what's going on, what's happening in the world of the Eagles, please feel free to go back. Watch all of the old episodes that you want, as many times as you want. They there for
Now's
y'all.
perfect time. Catch up for playoffs and everything.
We do this for y'all. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate everybody that tunes in. We appreciate everybody who likes, shares, and subscribed. If you're subscribed anywhere besides at Eagles Elite Podcast on YouTube, please, we implore you, go sign up there.
Please.
If you have not signed up on Shady Sports Network, check them out. Shady Sports does a lot of alternative football, spring football, all those things, as well as NFL. Shout out to 502 Angel Radio, where you can also hear this wonderful program. Shout out to Eagles Diva, who was not able to make it this week, but I feel like we tried to hold it down for her. It's always a little different when she's not here. It's always different when any of us are not here. It ain't the same when everybody ain't here, but we do what we do because that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? And as far as winning a Super Bowl, and this is a direct shot at Dak Prescott. As far as winning the Super Bowl with Dak Prescott, this is the best thing that I can say.
Cannot play with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it.
Petty time today. A little fun petty time this evening. Gosh. But y'all know what's next, right? You know what's next.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is directed directly to Green Bay. For the second time this year, Green Bay Packers. Like to have some fun sometime, y'all. We in the playoffs, baby. We hype. We in here. We ready.
Oh yeah, I'm ready, man. Let's get this happening. I can't wait. Hopefully we just as excited and going into winning Wednesday next week.
We definitely need another winning Wednesday. This is a winning Wednesday that we need for sure.
100%, more than any other winning Wednesday we needed this week.
Right. And then if we get it this week, we need it more than this week next week, and then more than that week, we get that, and then more than that week, we got that. You know what I'm saying? But we got to get the first one first. In order, got to get the first one first. Any last thoughts, Wyatt? I know I said a lot without saying anything, but I said a lot.
I just want to thank everybody that's tuned in at all during the course of this season. We would really appreciate it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and make sure to check us out next week and hopefully going throughout the playoffs here, because with each Eagles win, we're going to be getting more hype on the show. I'm sure of it. So make sure to tune in. Thank you for it if you have tuned in or supported the channel at all throughout the past year, and go Birds.
Yep. And if you are an Eagles fan, man, all we ask, let some other fans know may not be watching, get them on over here. And I get it. Everybody don't like to talk in the chat. Some people just want to watch, hear what we got to say. But if you got comments, we're talking about things, you got something you want us to talk about, there's the chat. And trust me when I tell you, we look at the chat.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about what y'all want to talk about, because you know what? we want to talk about, but we want to know what y'all want to talk about too. All right. So make sure you tell those 4 people who you think are your friends, and hopefully they are. And those 4 people you know who may or may not like you. All of them. Come check us out. Even if they don't like you, I guarantee they should like us. Unless they're Cowboys fans, they may not. But that being said, it's never where you start, guys. It is always where you finish. Another week in the books. Hopefully we back next week. Hopefully we're not ending the season next week. Hopefully we're going to keep moving on. Speaking into existence. Fly Eagles fly. Hashtag be elite. Go Birds. We out.